We keep going in our coverage of the best things that happened this year in the world of Canadian mixed martial arts, and today we are looking at the comeback fighters of the year. So we've already covered the comeback wins, that's a whole nother category. Today we've got the comeback fighters, which could be one of two things. First, a fighter that has not fought for a while, like years, and that decided to come back to MMA, or a fighter that was on a losing streak that was able to get through this losing streak and get a win for what you could call a career comeback. There were plenty of good candidates for this list, so let's just begin right now with some honorable mentions. Stephen Beaumont, Ergys Sigeta, Pytlik, Vincent Houle, Matthew Rusniak, and Andrew Bard. At number 10, we've got Tyler Wilson. So there's never been no doubt in anybody's mind that Tyler Wilson is a really good fighter. He was at a point 6-2 in 2019 when he fought Matt DiMarcantonio. He lost that fight. Then went on the losing streak of 4 fights, lost to Cal Estrada, Eder Terry, and Jason Faglier. In all fights that, like, he didn't do badly in them. He just was not able to get it going, was having some good moments here and there, but was never able to put it all together and just get the win out of these fights. And that all turned around in October of this year when he fought Terry Bartholomew at Stellar Fights 52, and that was just a great performance for him, a really reassuring fight where he was able to dominate and get the decision and put his career back on the right path. The guy is now 7-6, which is not a beautiful record, is a way worse record than the fighter he is, but at least now he was able to put this 4-fight losing streak behind him, and he's ready to look forward into 2023 and get back to his winning ways. At number 9, we've got Cody Ries, who basically took 10 years off MMA. The last time the guy fought was in June of 2013, and we hadn't heard of him since, but he came back in 2022, last event of the year for Unified MMA, where he fought another guy that was out for a while, Aaron Boziak, in what was Boziak's final fight. But after close to 10 years off, Cody Ries came in and got the rear naked choke victory in about 1 minute and 15 seconds, which is very impressive for a guy who, like I said, almost took 10 years off competition. So major props to him for this great comeback. He's number 9 on the list. At number 8, it is Nate Ledger. So we were basically getting to a point where with Nate Ledger that, like, he had to start considering if he wanted to do this or not, as the guy was basically 0-5 in his pro career, and his last loss was a loss to another guy that was 1-5 at the moment that he faced him. So let's just say like that, things were not going well for Nate Ledger at all, but he had his chance to turn it all around against Marco Carlotti at the Front Row Fight Club 1, and he was able to get the win with a great head kick to ground and pound finish, and which was absolutely a vital win for him in his career. You always gotta admire guys that keep on fighting even though things are not going well. That's the case with Nate Ledger, and he has all my admiration for that, but he needed a win at a point, and now he's got it. He at least got the 0 off from his record, and we've got to acknowledge that, and that's why I got him on the list today. And then at number 7, it's Pat Connors, the one and the only, which we know started his career 3-0, then went on a 4-fight losing streak, all by submissions against, yes, very good opposition, but guys that he could have done some things against. But fortunately for him, all these fights didn't turn out this way, but he never quit on his dream. The guy who kept fighting, was dedicated to improving, and it started paying out this year as he began this year with a submission win over Johan Salvador at Samurai MMA. That's what you want to see a guy improve when he just lost 4 times by submission. To be able to get a submission himself was really worth a lot. And then a couple of weeks later at Fight League Atlantic, got back to his old ways as he was able to land a brutal straight punch on Justin Bourgeois to get his second win in a matter of weeks and just rejuvenate his career once and for all. Pat Connors, he never quit, and that's why he's on the list today at number 7. At number 6, we've got Makinde Adeyemi, who also came into this year with a 0-3 record, had some competitive fights, but was not able to win them until he was booked against Raphael Ouellet in what some could say was a questionable decision, but others could say that it was just a questionable game plan from Raphael Ouellet, who just tried his rubber guard for the whole fight, but stayed, like, locked his opponent down in the rubber guard, but didn't do much with it. Adeyemi was able to land a big slam at a point, basically a Batista bomb, and do a couple other things to always stay safe and land his ground and pound when he had the chance to, and got away with the decision in that fight. And then won against Brendan Labrec, his second win of the year. So another guy that went from 0 wins to 2 wins this year. He's now 2-3 and ready to go into 2023 with the intention of making his record even at 3-3 as soon as it will be possible. So great year for Makinde Adeyemi, great comeback for his career in 2022, and that's why he's on the list today. At number 5, it is the real deal, Ryan Ford, the guy hadn't fought since 2014. And yes, you're gonna tell me that, hey, he was boxing, he was not retired or anything, but it's MMA that we're talking about here. And in MMA, the real deal, Ryan Ford, hadn't fought since 2014 when he decided to come back this year for Unified MMA. And not only he came back and won 2 fights this year, but he won these fights against some really good opposition and he finished them. His first one was against the one Pytlik, which was absolutely weird because they grappled the whole time, and Ryan Ford is pretty much not known for his grappling. The guy basically left the sport for boxing, so that's pretty much the definition of not being known for his grappling. But he came back, grappled with the one Pytlik. He was a very experienced opponent, defeated him by triangle, and then went on to his next fight and did what he does best. That means knock a guy out in the first round. That's what he did to Robert L., another guy who had a really good record. So not only Ryan Ford came back from a long hiatus from the sport, but when he came back, he defeated some really good opposition, and that's why I gotta put him on the top 5 of the list. At number 4, we've got the shadiest of all Tim Smiths, a guy who basically enjoyed the shortest retirement ever. The guy announced his retirement in 2021 after losing to Berang Youssifi by triangle at Unified 41. Basically less than a year later in May, he said, fuck that, I'm not retiring, I want to fight again. And he came in, fought Curtis Damars in one of the most exciting fights in recent memory, and then fought Nick Rabeck at the end of the year and got another win there, coming back with 2 wins after a 2-fight losing streak in his 2021 run. But overall, since 2015, he was on a 4-fight losing streak, and you can even stretch that to losing 5 of his 6 final fights before this year, where he came back with 2 wins, reinserting his name into title contention at Unified MMA. So what a year for Tim Smith. He's one of the comeback fighters of the year for sure, so that's why I had to put him in the top 4. But now it is time to move on to the top 3, and at number 3 we've got Robert Maximus Serrais, or Gypsy Danger, whatever you want him to be named. The guy hadn't fought since 2018, was on a 2-fight losing streak before his hiatus, had lost to Michael Dufort by submission, then to Jeremy Caponi by decision. But he came back with Samurai MMA in 2022, had the wild 10-second fight against Kevin Generer, then defeated Pat Connors by guillotine, and was able to close the year out with an amazing first round win against another fighter who was making his comeback, Guillaume De Lorenzi, which is by far the highest level of opposition he had fought in his career, and was able to get the first round finish there too. Amazing year for him in his comeback year, 3-0, to really reinsert his name in title discussion, in the discussion of the best lightweights, the best 165ers in Canada, and he wasn't really in that discussion before this year. So amazing comeback year for Robert Serrais. Is at number 3. At number 2, it could be a weird pick in a way, but I've got Aaron Jeffery. And let me explain my reasoning behind all that. Basically, Aaron Jeffery was never on a losing streak, was never like down and out or anything like that. He was only on the way up, but he fought on the Contender Series in 2019, lost to Brendan Allen, which is an amazing fighter, then went on a winning streak, beating guys like Andre Petroski, who is now excelling in the UFC, and Colin Ogbody. But when he got his way back to the Contender Series, he lost to Caio Borraio, which was really disheartening as a performance, and like really was a tough one, because we were saying at that moment, like, is Aaron Jeffery going to be the best regional fighter ever, but never really be able to make it to the biggest leagues, which was ridiculous, because we know how good the guy is, but still, he kind of looked down at the end of 2021, even though he had only 1 loss in his like 4 or 5 last fights. But it was such a tough loss, and his second opportunity on the Contender Series, losing again, it really looked like his UFC prospect weren't that good. But he came back to CFFC early in the year, won the belt, defended the belt. I think he was already the champion, so maybe defended his belt, and then got picked up by Bellator, came in, knocked out Fabio Aguiar with knees, and then in his breakout performance was able to knock out in 1 minute 25 Austin Vanderford, aka Mr. Paige Van Zandt. So within the span of a year, Aaron Jeffery went from a guy that we was like, yes, he's very good, but he's probably never gonna make it to the bigger leagues. Every time he gets to the big moment, he's not able to get the win. And within the span of a year, he's one of the highest ranked middleweight in Bellator. He's knocking at the edge of a title shot. He just beat Austin Vanderford, and like was another huge moment for him, and that time he was able to get the win. So yes, not a fighter that was down and out whatsoever, but a guy that we had some questions about his future at the highest level of the sport when the year came around. And man, as the year is coming to a close, we have no doubt that Aaron Jeffery is one of the best middleweights in the world. And at number 1, I told him that I couldn't give him this award, but fuck that, I'm giving him this award. Our comeback fighter of the year 2022 is Kevin Bastien Popowick. So basically, Kevin began his pro career, fought Series City, was having a good fight, but got head kicked and got finished in that fight. Then fought Nick Ouellet, who was coming into the pro circuit, and we didn't know much about him except that he looked very athletic and had some amazing jiu-jitsu. And man, Ouellet looked like the monsters of all monsters in that fight. Defeated Kevin Bastien Popowick, who was a double champion as an amateur, and nobody ever thought that he was going to begin his career 0-2. And that's kind of why I was hesitant to give him that title of comeback fighter of the year, because Kevin Bastien Popowick being 0-2 was never supposed to happen. So him having all that success this year was only normal in the end, but we still gotta give props to the guy who fought Patrick McInnes, defeated him in the second round. McInnes went on to have an amazing performance at PFC later on in the year. Then fought Charles Azoulay, rear naked choked him in the first round. Charles Azoulay went on to have an amazing performance against Keanu Young later in the year at Samurai MMA. And he closed out his year with his highlight performance of the year against Jamie Flick. Began the fight with a drop kick, then did all this weirdo jiu-jitsu only to get back up in round 2 and just knock him the fuck out with a right hand. So I'm giving him the honor. He's the comeback fighter of the year. And that's it for our list today. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like if you liked. Please consider subscribing to see more content from us, and just stay tuned for the other lists that will keep coming in the next few days.